All right, everybody, what's goody? Welcome in Double R Podcast. It's been a minute since we've done a live. You know what I'm saying? After what happened in the playoffs with the Baltimore Ravens against the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, kind of don't want to relive those moments again because, yeah, well, if you're a Ravens fan, you already know that didn't turn out well. Still believe the Ravens have the best team on paper. You know what I'm saying? But the playoffs is one and done, so you've literally got to play your best. And it just so happened the Ravens didn't play their best. It's just as simple as that. The Ravens didn't play their best that game, so yeah. So we're back. We're back in a different capacity this time. We're going to talk about the franchise tag deadline, and that is the time frame where teams can franchise a player, meaning put them on a one-year deal, and it'll pay them the full salary based on what position they play, or the average salaries. In most cases, most teams hope to work out a long-term deal. We're mainly going to be focused on the Ravens today, and usually what the Ravens do when it comes to the franchise tag, if they're looking to hopefully sign that franchise player to a long-term deal. What the Ravens don't want to do is have one player eat up majority of the cap space. Now, even though the cap space is going up this year, the cap space last year in 2023 was $224 million, and it's going to go about $30 million to $255 million this year. So even though what's up, Noah? Welcome in. Even though the cap space has gone up, you don't want one player to eat up all the cap space. So that's what a franchise tag does. It basically allows a team to sign a player for a 1-year guaranteed deal, and you play on that 1-year deal, and then you'll be a free agent again. Now, if you guys remember last year, what's up, man? It's great to see you. If you guys remember last year, we went through this whole saga with Lamar Jackson being on the franchise tag. Does he want to play for the Ravens? Are the Ravens going to give him the guaranteed money he wants? Everybody was talking about he's looking for Deshaun Watson guaranteed money. And what happened? It was a talk of last off season was all about Lamar Jackson. Like, no one cared about anybody else but what happened with Lamar Jackson. What happened? The day before, actually, I think it was the day on the NFL draft, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson agreed to a deal so that franchise tag would not be a factor because the Ravens signed to a long-term extension. So this year, we don't have as much drama with that because obviously, it's the quarterback. The quarterback is going to draw the most headlines. So Lamar Jackson's paid. There's no drama here this year with the franchise tag. But the Ravens still had an issue because you have Patrick Queen, you have Justin Madubuike, and I'll talk about this in detail a little bit later, who were the two prime candidates to get the franchise tag. Now, obviously, the Baltimore Ravens are going to want to sign any one of these guys to a long-term deal, preferably both. I'm not sure if they can afford it. Even with the cap space going up to $255 million, can you afford both Patrick Queen and Justin Madubuike? That's the question. We now know Madubuike will be with the Ravens for at least 1 year. We don't know about Patrick Queen. So that's where we're at right now. So before I get into mainly the Ravens news about this, because we're going to break that down a little bit, I do want to talk about other players that were franchise tagged today, and just so you guys can understand. But before I even get into that, I've got to talk about this Russell Wilson thing. I made a video yesterday, and we made a video a couple months ago about the whole Russell Wilson saga, about the Broncos potentially releasing Russell Wilson. That was a couple months ago. There was a report that came out that Russell Wilson was no longer going to be on the Broncos because of the money that he was owed in this new league year, which was ridiculous amount of money that he was owed. So he wasn't going to get that because mainly him and Sean Payton never got along. Like, they were never seen eye to eye, and his production on the field just wasn't measuring up to what the money that they were going to pay him. This may go down as one of the worst trades in history. As far as what the Broncos gave up to get Russell Wilson, who only lasted 2 years. What you gave up to get Russell Wilson, damn it, you should have won a Super Bowl. I mean, he should be on your team for the next 4 or 5 years based on what you gave up. And the fact that he's gone now after 2 years, the first year was dreadful. This year he played a little bit better, but the Broncos didn't go nowhere. So you basically give all of that for a guy that literally did nothing. Seattle won that trade by a mile. So yeah, so it just goes to show you that certain decisions that are being made make or break franchises, man. And I think that's going to set back Denver for a while, considering what they gave up and all the dead cap. I mean, $85 million in dead cap. I think they were saying, like, that's like the largest dead cap in the history of the league. Like, no team has ever ate up $85 million in dead cap space. Just literally think about that for a second. $35 million in dead cap space. Like, he's been released. He's been released, or he's going to get released, and you're still going to have to pay him a large chunk of money, and he's not even playing for you. So that just goes to show you, like how they felt about him. We'll eat that money. We don't want you on our team anymore. You're not worth it. You're not worth it. They do save some money, but they're taking a big hit. They're taking a big hit. So where Russell Wilson goes, I don't know. As I mentioned yesterday, I thought about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but we don't know what's going on with the Justin Fields thing. We all know they want Justin Fields. They want to get more athletic at QB. And yeah, Russell Wilson was once upon a time athletic. I'm not really sure, as he's getting up in age, if Russell Wilson's still an athletic quarterback. I mean, last year he played a little bit better, but I mean, what quarterbacks don't play a little bit better in the Sean Payton offense? You know what I'm saying? So we'll have to see about that. All right, let's get into what we want to talk about today, and that is the franchise tag deadline. So I've been kind of looking at the numbers and seeing what's going to happen here. So this video, we're going to talk about all the players that was franchise tagged. The deadline was at 4 p.m. today. It is now 5 p.m. Eastern time. So the deadline's over. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Ravens franchise tagging Justin Madubuike, what that means long term. Will they sign him to a deal? What does that mean for Patrick Queen? Also, the Ravens don't have enough cap space right now for that franchise tag, which means they're going to have to start cutting a few players to make room for this large chunk of money that Justin Madubuike is going to eat, at least as of right now, because Justin Madubuike is going to take a large chunk of money on that cap. So the Ravens are going to have to do some cap casualties here, where they're going to have to start releasing players who are making X amount of dollars to free up room to sign Madubuike. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what options they could go for. We're going to talk about OBJ a little bit, because there are thoughts about OBJ not returning to the Ravens and who's a potential fit. So we're going to talk about all of that good stuff today. Noah, thank you for being here. Anybody else that's in here, I appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. So, as far as the players that were franchise tagged today, and this is all weird. This is at ESPN right now. So, and this is right on their website. If you go to their website, you got the franchise tag deadline. So, I'm just gonna run through these players. I'm not gonna really give an in-depth analysis of all of this, but some of the players that were franchise tagged is Kyle Duggar, safety for the New England Patriots. Now he got transition tagged, which means he can still negotiate with other teams. And well, actually, before we do that, let's talk about what a transition tag is, because I'm not an expert. So let's take a look. Transition tag. Let me actually get this boxed up so you guys can see it. So the transition tag, what does that mean? Franchise tag. So it's the same like it's the same like a franchise tag. The transition tag, excuse me. It's a 1-year guaranteed deal. They can still negotiate with other teams in free agency, but the transition tag is basically a cheaper option than the franchise tag. So I believe Lamar Jackson was not transition tagged. He was on the it was two different types of franchise tag, and he had the opportunity to negotiate with other teams. And obviously we saw what happened there. No team made a deal for him because either one, they're psycho, or two, they thought Lamar Jackson was always going to return to the Ravens no matter what. One of the two things happened. Because a player of that caliber, there's no way you can tell me that no team made an offer for Lamar Jackson. All right. So Kyle Duggar, safety. Bill Belichick's gone now, so you know his teams always play good on defense. I don't know what the Patriots are going to do this offseason, where they go with quarterback. Like I said, Mac Jones. And apologize for the back room there. I'm cleaning up over there. But Mac Jones, I don't know if they're going to draft the QB. I would imagine they will. I don't know how they feel about Mac Jones. That's going to be interesting. Antoine Winfield. Antoine Winfield is a stud. You know what I'm saying? And he's on the franchise tag for $17 million. And for those who don't know, the franchise tag is literally based off position. So if you just kind of want to know, it's the average salaries of that position that you play. So here we go. As I was mentioning, the transition tag is basically like the franchise tag, except the transition tag is a little bit less salary than what the franchise tag would be. So we just mentioned about Duggar with the New England Patriots. Now, as we mentioned before, he's getting $13.8 million transition tag. He's a safety. So if you look under the safeties, that falls right in line with what he's going to get. So if he had got franchise tagged, he would have made $17 million off that 1-year deal. But he got transition tagged, so he'll be able to make $13.8 million off the transition tag. So they get paid less. So the Patriots are saving a little bit of money with that, but they was like, okay, we want to at least keep the player for now. Maybe work out a deal, maybe not work out a deal, but you get him on the cheap. Still $13 million for 1 year, but it's better than $17 million. Antoine Winfield, we got Jalen Johnson, quarterback for the Bears, 19.8 franchise. So just to keep the consistency, cornerbacks are making $19 million off the franchise tag. So you see the consistency here. All right. Josh Allen, not to be mistaken for Josh Allen, the QB, but Josh Allen, the linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, $22 million. And that is that consistent with, he is a linebacker. Well, hold on, what tag did he get? He got the franchise tag. Let's take a look. Linebackers. So it's outside linebacker. Well, I guess it's just linebacker in general. Okay. This is saying linebackers get $24 million. He got franchise tag for 22. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research into that. Where's the rest of the dollars at? And if anybody in the chat knows, let me know. And then, of course, this is the big one that everybody's talking about. Justin Madubuike, who's an interior lineman, D-tackle, $22 million franchise tag, consistent with the number that we see here. So that's what Justin Madubuike got franchise tag for. Brian Burns with the Carolina Panthers, outside linebacker, $24 million, which we just, that's what I'm talking about. So I don't know if it's different between an outside linebacker versus a middle linebacker. I'm not sure. If that's got to be the difference, because Burns is getting paid to 24 as opposed to Allen getting paid to 22. So I'm assuming it's the position itself. L'Jarius Sneed, Super Bowl champion with the Kansas City Chiefs, franchise tag for $19 million. T. Higgins, that was news a while ago. Actually, I want to say about a couple weeks ago, they talked about T. Higgins getting a franchise tag. So we see that there. So what is the one franchise tag you were most shocked about? I can't even really say I'm shocked about the Madubuike one. I'm really not. I'm not shocked about the Madubuike one. I think we all knew that the Ravens can't afford to lose this guy. The man had 13 sacks. He went like 10, 11 games with at least a half a sack. A lot of people were calling him the baby Aaron Donald with how nasty he was this season. A lot of what the defense did had a lot to do with Madubuike, Kyle Hamilton. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, the defense was just great this year, but Madubuike had a breakout season. And, you know, he had to. If he was on the last year of his deal, he had to. If he wanted to get paid, Madubuike was going to have a breakout year, and that's exactly what he did. So now it forced the Ravens' hand to be like, okay, you did so well for us. We got to do something for you now. We either got to sign you or we gotta put you on a franchise tag. We got to do something. We can't let you go. Now, there's different ways to look at this with Madubuike. One, you sign him, you put him on a franchise tag, and say, prove it again. You know what I'm saying? He had a breakout year, but up until Madubuike was always progressing each year. I don't think Madubuike was ever like this is like a surprise in terms of like how dominant he was. Each year, Madubuike was well, you could tell Madubuike had the potential to be a great player. This last season, he put it all together and made things happen. So, one way of looking at it is, Madubuike, prove it again. We'll put you on this franchise tag. We'll pay you $22 million. We don't agree to a long-term deal with you. And prove it again. Now, the benefit for Madubuike is if he does it again and has a better season or at least equivalent to what he did this season, that number is going to go up. So whatever number he's looking for as far as a long-term deal, it's going to be higher than what he would have got this year. You know what I'm saying? And of course, you could always franchise a player more than once. Look at Kirk Cousins, for example. Now, that's one way of looking at it. Or the Ravens are like, all right, we know what we got. We got to get you to a long-term deal because if you do this again next year, that number is going to go up. You know what I'm saying? So it's different ways to look at this. I'm almost certain the Ravens are viewing him as we know what we got. He's a stud. And you already heard the Costa saying we're trying to get a deal with Justin Madubuike. So they're trying. You know what I'm saying? It's all about what is your value, what is your worth. Because I think they know what they got in their hands. They drafted the man. They've seen him year by year get better and better and better. They know if he goes out there and does it again next year, they're going to have to pay him bank. So, it's an interesting position. Like I said, I think the Ravens already know what they got. But like I said, the flip side is they can look at Madubuike and be like, all right, do it again. And if he doesn't do it again, if they don't sign to a long-term deal, then that number will not go up as we talking about. So, we'll see. Right now, he's eating up $22.1 million off the cap right now, off a one-year deal. So obviously, the Ravens want to save cap space. They want to free up more money. So obviously, the thinking here is the Ravens want to sign to a long-term deal because it's not going to be most likely the way the Ravens do deals. A lot of that money is not going to hit the cap directly in the first year. Like Lamar Jackson's deal. A lot of Lamar Jackson's money that he's getting is not going to affect the cap until each year after the year he signed it. So Lamar Jackson was making good money this year, but that's not the most money Lamar Jackson's going to make. Each year that he's with the Ravens, that money is going to go up. But what it does in the short term is it frees up cap space because he's not taking a huge chunk of money off the cap as he would if he got all of that money up front and it wasn't backloaded. So that's the thing with Lamar Jackson, is that his money doesn't, at least last year, it wasn't taking up a huge chunk as it would in the following year. So obviously you want to get Madubuike signed to a long-term deal. You free up some money now, and you worry about it later. You can always restructure. Look at what they did with they like Ronnie Stanley and who's the other guy? Brandon Williams was a big one. They would always come to Brandon Williams with a restructured deal. I'm trying to think. It's been some other players over the course of time where the Ravens, they'll restructure a deal if it means they can save some cap space. You're still going to get your money. It's about how it's positioned. Is it a signing bonus? Is it just backloaded? But they always find a way to get creative with when they need money, they get their money. You know what I'm saying? They get their money when they need to free up something. All right, now let's look at the free agent. Let's look at the roster with the Ravens here. All right, so let me zoom this in for you guys, and thank you guys for being here. Everybody's in here. Let me make sure. Can y'all see that? Let's see. Okay. I know the quality may not be the best. All right. So here's all the free agents that the Ravens have. OBJ. I guess we'll talk about it now. There's a report that OBJ is not coming back next year to the Baltimore Ravens. As you guys already know, he signed a 1-year deal for $15 million. I think it was an incentive for $16 million if he got those incentives. For a 1-year deal for Odell Beckham Jr., that was a lot of money. And so we obviously know if he comes back to the Ravens, you can't bring OBJ back for that price tag. So either OBJ comes back to the Ravens on a cheaper deal, or they don't. They just clean their hands with it and just move on. I personally like Odell Beckham Jr. I think that he was a great locker room guy, great locker room talent. Like I said, the chemistry with him in there was great. I just don't think the production matched the dollar value that he was getting paid. So, with that being said, I would love for them to bring OBJ back, but it's going to have to be much cheaper than $15 million. Obviously, the Ravens aren't going to do that. Kevin Zeitler, Gus Edwards, that's another one. The whole running back situation is a whole nother live video in itself, because I made a video a couple weeks ago about why the Ravens don't need Derrick Henry. It's because you got Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards, more like, is going to be cheaper than Derrick Henry. He's very valuable. He's younger than Derrick Henry. You know what I'm saying? So unless you're getting Derrick Henry for the cheap, you keep Gus Edwards. So anyway, Rock Ya-Sin, Patrick Queen, the big one. We already know about that. We'll talk about that in a bit. Tyler Huntley, Clowney, Geno Stone, Darby, J.K. Dobbins. And I love J.K. Dobbins. I really do. I'm so irritated that J.K. Dobbins has not been able to stay on the field, because he was one of my favorite players. I remember when they drafted J.K. Dobbins, I was like, dog, he's instantly one of my favorite players. I like his personality. He's got game. You know what I'm saying? It sucks that he's not been able to produce outside of the rookie season and a little bit of 2022. Because we didn't see him. We seen him for like what, 1 or 2 quarters in this last season. I don't know what the Ravens do. That'll be interesting to monitor. I don't think they're going to keep him, and that sucks because of the injuries. Because we already know he's talented. The rookie season proved that. Josh Johnson, Daryl Worley, Brent Urban, Laquan Treadwell, Devin Duvernay. Which I don't think Devin Duvernay is coming back, and I love Devin Duvernay as well. But with the receivers they got, they can find another punt returner. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Zay Flowers. I don't think Zay Flowers is going to be in that role. He couldn't play that role. I don't think they're going to make him that role. I would love to see Devin Duvernay come back, not as a receiver per se, but as a returner. I think Devin Duvernay is great. But we saw Tylan Wiles return that punt return against the Rams. So you never know. They may go with Tylan Wiles in that role over Devin Duvernay. Atarza, what's goody with you? How you feeling today? Malik Harrison. Damn, Malik Harrison's a free agent. Is a free agent already? Wow. Damn. Time has moved. I remember when they drafted Malik Harrison. Wow. Deshaun Phillips, Arthur Millette, Trayvon Mullen, John Simpson, and Ardarius Washington. So here's all the free agents that we got for the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, here's the ones that I think matter the most. Kevin Zeitler, you need to have. I know he's 33. You need to have offensive line presence. Kevin Zeitler, Gus Edwards, Patrick Queen. I love Clowney. Clowney, you gotta sign Clowney. It's like he was meant to be a Baltimore Raven. The Geno Stone one is like, I don't want to come off as sounding disrespectful, but I feel like you can move on from Geno Stone. I know he had a great year. What's up, Juice? I know Geno Stone had a great year, but I feel like you can move on from that. I don't know the kind of money that Geno Stone is looking for. When the Ravens sound, yeah, you know why you was hype and why I was hype is because some players are just born to be a Baltimore Raven. Jadeveon Clowney is gritty, he's nasty, and he's always in the backfield. He may not always get the sacks because the amount of times he gets pressures on the quarterback versus the amount of sacks doesn't always level up, but he's always in the backfield. You gotta sign him. If you're gonna bring if Matabike is coming back, Clowney has to come back. Like, I feel like Matabike had a great year because Jadeveon Clowney put pressure on the outside. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Geno Stone, I'm cool with walking. I like Geno Stone, but you know, it's one of those things where you don't have enough money for everybody. Darby, J.K. Dobbins. I would love to see J.K. Dobbins come back. I know they're not. Malik Harrison's interesting, but they got Trenton Simpson. They got Simpson. So I'm not sure. Here's the deal. You got Trenton Simpson. You got Patrick Queen. If they let Patrick Queen walk, then obviously they feel like Trenton Simpson is their guy. If they sign Patrick Queen, then it's not to say that they don't believe in Simpson. They value Patrick Queen that high. Malik Harrison, I don't think they're going to sign Malik Harrison. I mean, we didn't really see much of Malik Harrison in the 4 years that he was there. I'm just being honest with you. He had some moments, but I don't think Malik Harrison ever lived up to what I thought he could be. I always thought he was nasty, filthy, and he may just be that. Maybe he just didn't get the full opportunities because always playing behind Patrick Queen, and then of course in the last 2 years Roquan Smith. So, and then everybody else on here is just like, okay, you can let walk if you want to. Arthur Millette, I think I like Arthur Millette a lot. He made some plays this year. But yeah, so the priority should be Zeitler, Edwards, Clowney, and Patrick Queen. Those are the big ones. Now, let's go up here. Let's look at the salary cap for the players overall. And let me know if y'all can see this, or do I have to zoom it in? Juice, it's great to see you. How you feeling today? Let's zoom this in a little bit. So, obviously, Lamar Jackson is obviously the Ravens' highest paid player on the team. Clearly, it's Lamar freaking Jackson. His cap hit $32 million right here. So so look at this as a piece of a pie, and the percentage of salaries in that pie. Lamar Jackson is taking up 12% of the cap right now, and that number is going to go up each year he's with the Ravens. So out of 100% of the pie, Lamar Jackson by himself is taking up 12%, but he's the quarterback, so that's no surprise there. Next, this is the big one that everybody's talking about, and we're talking about, so the Ravens signed Justin Matabike obviously today to a franchise tag for $22 million. How do we get to the $22 million? We just talked about it. The $22 million is what the average defensive tackle was making for the franchise tag. So the Ravens clearly don't have $22 million right now. The Ravens don't have $22 million to say, Matabike, here you go. Matter of fact, I think the Ravens, let me just make sure I'm looking at this correctly. The Ravens have, let me just double check. I think the Ravens have, I don't have that up here. I think the Ravens in cap space right now have only $10 million in cap space right now. The Ravens do not have enough money right now to sign Justin Madubuike to this franchise tag. Meaning they're going to have to cut some players in order to make the room for Justin Madubuike. Now, everybody's talking about Ronnie Stanley. And, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to be 1,000% transparent here. Has Ronnie Stanley lived up to that contract that he signed in 2020? No. Why is that? There's a multitude of things, and I like Ronnie Stanley. Salary, what you're getting paid versus production. There's been I mean, I don't know if you want to blame the injuries or not, but there's a few times I've seen Ronnie Stanley get beat, and I'm like, this doesn't look like an all-pro left tackle. There's times I've seen Ronnie Stanley like, dog, what is happening here, dog? Is it the injuries, or are you regressing as a talent? And then obviously the other one is the injuries itself. You're getting paid all this money, and you have not been on the field. So it's easy to look at Ronnie Stanley and say, okay, dog, you have not been on the field. When you're on the field, you haven't always been productive. Like, you're getting paid all this money. We got to do something with you. Ronnie Stanley right now is an option if the Ravens want to go that route. Right now, he's taking up 10.2% of the cap right now. That's second on the team behind Lamar Jackson. The thing is, if you're just valuing each player at their position, Lamar Jackson's a 2-time MVP. Ronnie Stanley has not made the Pro Bowl since 2019. So it's like you're the second highest player as far as the cap hit, but you have not been giving us the production that we're looking for. So it's like when you're looking at ideas here about where to go, the Ravens could draft the offensive lineman. You got younger with Tyler Linderbaum. I think they got to bring back Kevin Zeitler. Who else is on there? Morgan Moses. That's another one. Morgan Moses is, how old is Morgan Moses? Morgan Moses got to be in his 30s, right? Let's just double check. Morgan Moses has got to be, I know you guys can't see, I have it cut off. Yeah, Morgan Moses is 33 years old. So yeah, Morgan Moses is getting up there in age. And Morgan Moses right now is only taking up 2% of the cap, but you got to free up money somehow. He's getting a base salary of $5 million. If you cut Morgan Moses, you shred that $5 million in cap space. Now, mind you, the Ravens need to get to how much they need to get to. They need to create $10 million in cap space in order by March the 13th. So in order to get Madubuike signed to that number, you gotta release some players. Ronnie Stanley is making $11 million base salary, along with the other things he's getting. Production versus what you're getting paid. I like Morgan Moses, I like Ronnie Stanley, but I've seen him at times get beat by players. I'm like, whoa. I don't know if it's injuries. I don't know if it's just regression in talent. There were talks about Marlon Humphrey being a option of getting rid of. Now, Marlon Humphrey, I like Marlon Humphrey. I really do. But we've seen with at one point in time, Marlon Humphrey was the best player in the secondary. He's not that no more. You got Kyle Hamilton that's better. Marcus Williams has his moments. I still think Marcus Williams is a valuable piece. Who else is back there? Brandon Stevens was nice this year. You know what I'm saying? There's other players where it's like, at least last season, that played better than Marlon Humphrey. The Ravens are going to need to create space. Not only for Madubuike, but just to be able to sign other free agents. You still want to bring back Jadeveon Clowney. You still got to bring back a running back, whether that be Gus Edwards or Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. You still got to sign your draft pick. So the Ravens are going to have to make moves here and free up space. Now, for those in the chat, which Raven do you think they're going to release to free up space? And which Raven do you want to be released? I don't really want nobody to be released, but Ronnie Stanley is getting paid. Like, listen, it's hard to say this. I'm not making that kind of money. I'm not making $11 million a year. So it's easy for me to say, okay, get rid of you, get rid of you, get rid of you. But I'm only talking about production versus what you're being paid. And I just don't think the amount of money that he's getting paid versus what he's been producing makes sense. You feel me? So here we go. Here's what I was looking for. Ravens only have $9 million in cap space right now. Remember, they just got Matabike to a franchise tag for $22 million. You don't have $22 million right now. You only have $9 million. So in order to get to at least that $22 million, you're going to at least need to free up $13 million. What is that? 13 plus 9. You're going to at least need to free up $13 million in cap space. To get to $22 million just from Matabike alone, you're gonna have to get rid of somebody. You're gonna have to. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, the salary cap did go up this year to $255 million. That will help a little bit, because if we were still under last year's salary cap, which was at $224 million, then this is nothing. Now, you're probably asking, why is it March 13th? Well, March 13th, which is next Wednesday, free agency starts next Wednesday. Free agency is where teams can sign other free agents that are on the open market. So in order for the Ravens to sign Justin Matabike, they're gonna have to get that salary cap to a place where they can sign him by next week. So that's why this is all big. I feel like Derrick Henry was a bust. I feel like other running back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong, I love Derrick Henry, but he's going to probably be asking for $9-10 million a year. You can get Gus Edwards for cheaper than that. Gus Edwards is younger. Gus Edwards is productive. The thing with Gus Edwards is the Ravens just weren't giving him the ball. Like I said earlier, would I be cool with Derrick Henry on a cheaper deal? I surely would. But I don't necessarily want to see Derrick Henry take up the Ravens salary cap when you got a running back who's younger, who can produce. Like I said, Gus Edwards may not be the home run hitter that Derrick Henry is, but Gus Edwards is a consistent runner. He's going to give you 7. He's going to give you 11. He's going to give you 9. Every once in a while, he'll give you that 25-yard run. Derrick Henry is that, okay, Derrick Henry probably going to give you an 80-yard run. He's going to give you a 70-yard run. Gus Edwards may not be that, but I'm not even 1,000% sure Derrick Henry is still that. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. So we know Ravens love their running backs, and we know the Ravens are probably not going to run Derrick Henry like that. Look at the last couple of seasons. The Ravens are running a 3-back system. Yo, what's up, Zay? What's up, man? I would rather DeAndre Swift or Derrick Henry. Exactly. He's cheaper. He's younger. You know what I'm saying? I take Saquon Barkley, even though he's injured. And that's another thing. With Saquon Barkley, like, he got injured. The one thing I said about Derrick Henry is durable. Derrick Henry played every game last season. So if you're looking at upgrading over J.K. Dobbins, I get it, because J.K. Dobbins is always injured. At least Derrick Henry will play for you. The question is, how effective is he going to be? Now, the flip side of that is Derrick Henry in the read option offense. That's the thing. Here's where it gets interesting is Derrick Henry has never played with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, where so much attention has to go to Lamar that you really going to have to pay attention to Lamar or Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry could get a lot of open lanes, because if you have to respect Lamar, Derrick Henry's going to run right through the middle. And we already know Derrick Henry between the tackles is damn near unguardable. You can't stop Derrick Henry when he's got a full leg of speed running at you downhill. And Lamar Jackson is going to create those lanes, because you have to respect Lamar taking off. Which is why I was irritated in the Chiefs game why they didn't use the running backs in Lamar Jackson a little bit more in that game. You know what I'm saying? Because we already know you have to respect him. You get a guy like Derrick Henry, it's a wrap. So it's tough. Would I like Derrick Henry? You're damn right. But there's other needs on this team. And if Derrick Henry's going to sign for $10, $11 million a year, I feel like that money could go somewhere else. Because we just talked about Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Moses potential cap cuts. Well, Ronnie Stanley would be a June 1st cut. But nonetheless, who's going to block for Derrick Henry if you don't bring back those guys? I like Linderbaum. I like Zeitler. I like Simpson. I was a big Ben Cleveland guy. I don't know what's going on with Ben Cleveland. I was a big Ben Cleveland guy. But Derrick Henry is only efficient as whoever's in front of him. That's with any running back. You put a good offensive line, the running back should have a field day. Derrick Henry's not going to mean anything if you don't have a good offensive line. And that goes for Lamar Jackson. If you look at Lamar Jackson's MVP year versus his 2 MVP years versus the years he did not win, he had a good offensive line. Ronnie Stanley was playing great during that time. Who else did you have during that time? You had Orlando Brown. Who else did you have? I mean, you had guys that could block. This year, you had even with Stanley and Moses being inconsistent, you had them. You had Zeitler. You had Simpson. You had a good offensive line. Having a good offensive line, Lamar Jackson's going to win you MVPs. Just don't let Lamar Jackson take no crazy hits and get injured. So the Ravens are going to have some things to do. Zay, so the question I was asking in the chat, Zay, is the Ravens only have $9 million in cap space. They need to make room to get to that money to sign Matabike and free agents. Who do you want to see cut, or who do you think they're going to cut in order to make room to create cap space here? I was talking about Ronnie Stanley, because here's the order of who's making the most money. Lamar Jackson's making the most money. Ronnie, Humphrey, Matabike is now on there with $22 million. Marcus Williams, Mark Andrews, Tyus Bowser. There you go. And why is that? Tyus Bowser didn't even play all last year. Like, when the last time did Tyus Bowser play a game? Like, seriously, I thought he was going to play this year. Never played. And this is nothing against Tyus Bowser, but it was just like, where have you been? Yeah, they're going to have to restructure a few. I would like to see, if you're going to keep Marlon Humphrey's going to have to be restructured. If you want to keep Ronnie Stanley, so what they could do is they could draft a left tackle, keep Ronnie Stanley for one more year, restructure his deal, and keep him a couple more years. I think his contract is almost over. What is Ronnie Stanley signed in 2020? So, let me take a look. Sorry, I know it's kind of cut off for you guys because I have it cropped. Let me take a look. So Ronnie Stanley signed a 5-year deal in 2020. So it's okay. So he basically essentially has one more year anyway. So yeah. So you're gonna have to do something with that because he's actually about to be a free agent soon. So I'm thinking you restructure Marlon Humphrey. You restructure Tyus Bowser. Yeah, I don't see Tyus Bowser coming back. Tyus Bowser was making a decent amount of money. Morgan Moses, you either release him or you're gonna have to do something with that. Obviously OBJ's not coming back, but OBJ was a 1-year deal. It's definitely gonna be Morgan Moses, Stanley, or Humphrey. Restructure Ronnie Stanley, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, and I think something came out like where they said Lamar Jackson would be willing to restructure his deal, and we were just talking about that too, about how Lamar Jackson was team friendly on the first year. As Lamar Jackson continues to rack these years with the Ravens in that contract, Lamar Jackson's money in salary is going to go up. You actually were getting Lamar Jackson for the cheapest you're ever going to get him this last year. Every year from now, Lamar Jackson's making more money. So, yes, Lamar Jackson's a team player. Yeah, you could definitely restructure Lamar Jackson's money. You could do it again. Lamar Jackson is still going to get his money. It's about when. And Eric DeCosta is very good at when he needs to create space, he's going to do it. He may give you the money in the latter half, maybe a couple years down the line, a year or even the following year. But in order to make space for this upcoming off season, sometimes he'll restructure deals in order to make sure he has enough space now. So Lamar Jackson's an option. I mean, he's making the most money on the team. Ronnie Stanley, Marlon Humphrey is a big one, because I'm not sure. He's not a bad player. He hasn't. What year was that he had that breakout year? I think that was 2021. Whatever the year, I forgot. Whatever the year they gave him the nickname. I forgot what the fuck they call him. Whatever the nickname they call. I can't think right now. But I think it was 2021 that he had that great year. It's either 2021 or 2020. I can't remember what year it was. But I think since that point, Marlon Humphrey's game has not been the same. So you got some options there. Now, was it 2020? One of those years he was causing all those fumbles, and it was crazy how he was forcing so many fumbles that year. Was it 2020? You might be right. 2020, 2021. Fruit punch. There you go. My guy. They nicknamed the fruit punch, and I should know that because I watched the podcast that he does on. I watched his podcast, and I'm mad I didn't know his name, but Marcus Williams. Like I said, I don't know what they're gonna do with Marcus Williams. They're gonna keep him, obviously, but Marcus Williams is not even the best player in the secondary. Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton is literally your best player in the secondary. Now, Kyle Hamilton, you still got a few years left, and he was a #1 draft pick, so he'll have an option for a 5th year anyway. So you really, unless you want to get the ball rolling on signing Kyle Hamilton, which there's really no need to do that. You're getting him on a rookie contract. There's really no need to extend Kyle Hamilton. Let him play on that rookie contract a little bit more. But the more and more he plays, the more and more he gets better, and that price tag going to go up. So the argument is you could sign him early before he gets really, really good. You're going to really have to pay him, or you could just wait, save that money, sign what you need to sign now. And I don't know, but Kyle Hamilton is your best player in the secondary, and he's making the least amount of money, at least compared to Williams, Humphrey, and who else is the other guy? Now, maybe that's it. Williams and Humphrey. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But like I said earlier, here's the players that you got to take care of. You got to take care of. Let's go back here. You've got to take care of Kevin Zeitler. You don't got to, but I would like it. You need offensive line depth, help. And he's consistent. You got to get a running back, whether it's Gus Edwards or Derrick Henry, or J.K. Dobbins, which I don't see them going with J.K. Dobbins. Patrick Queen, I would love it. You got to get Patrick Queen somehow, some way, and that starts with getting Matabike to a long-term deal, because like I said, Matabike is taking up a large chunk of your cap. Getting Matabike signed to a long-term deal will ultimately help you get Patrick Queen hopefully to a long-term deal, because that franchise tag is eating up a big chunk of money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was the worst mistake, and I think in hindsight, that's the case. I think when they made the move, I think it was a good move because he was a good player with the Saints. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to look at it in hindsight, but based on what they had with Earl Thomas, Kevin Zeitler's in $4 million in dead cap. Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm losing sight of my Kevin Zeitler. Who took Kevin Zeitler? Am I missing Zeitler? Hold up. Sorry here. In Cleveland, did I pass Kevin Zeitler? A lot of names on here. I can't. Well, either way, I think I'm looking at the salary cap. Anyway, we'll take a look at that in a second. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah, dead cap, Kevin Zeitler, $7 million. Okay, yeah. Well, what do you do? What do you do? You're gonna bring Zeitler back because it's too many questions on the offensive line now. I think Zeiler and Linderbaum, honestly, are the most consistent ones on that line. I think Stanley is inconsistent. Morgan Moses is solid, but he can be inconsistent. I think Zeiler and Linderbaum are your best on it. You got to bring them back. And I doubt, and this is crazy for me to say, but I highly doubt that they're going to put Patrick Ricard in that role. Now, is he a big body? Yes, he is. I don't see Patrick Ricard in a full-time offensive line role. I don't. But I was getting ready to say something. I was talking about priorities. So I was talking about Kevin Zeiler, Patrick Queen, and I'm iffy on Geno Stone, but Jadeveon Clowney, you better bring back Jadeveon Clowney. You better bring back. I would like to bring back Gus Edwards. I love J.K. Dobbins. I really hate to see him go, but I understand why they would. And everybody else is like whatever. You can go look in the draft, and you can go look in free agency. I've heard Saquon Barkley, but the Ravens don't need a running back right now, like an outside running back. They got Gus Edwards, and you got Keaton Mitchell coming back from injury. You don't really need. And you got Justice Hill. Todd Monken loved using Justice Hill last year. I don't think you need running back. I don't. I think that money could go somewhere else. Because Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are going to command more money than what Gus Edwards is going to get. So the Ravens have other issues. They got offensive line, and they need offensive line. They need well, I guess we can't say defensive line because they got Matabike. You need to bring back Clowney. I think the defensive line is good. You got Matabike. You got if you bring back Clowney, and who's the other guy and then you got Ajabo, and you got I'm forgetting names off the top of my head. An Adafe Owe. So you got players. They just need to get healthy. Owe, Ajabo, they just need to be consistently healthy and producing. I think that's a good line. I think your focus should be offensive line, wide receiver is to me, because I'm thinking you got Rashad Bateman, you got Zay Flowers, you just brought back Aguilar, you got the tight ends. The tight ends are already good. They're basically receiving weapons. I've even heard Hollywood Brown coming back. I'm not sure how I feel about Hollywood Brown in free agency. He's a small receiver. I'm not sure. I mean, Isaiah Likely is a hybrid. He's a hybrid receiver and tight end. So you could get cute with, because that could be your big body receiver right there, and Isaiah Likely. I'm not sure how I feel about Hollywood Brown coming back to the Ravens. I don't, because he's small. He's not a guy that gets the ball. Now he can blow by you, and you got a couple guys that could do that. You got Zay Flowers. You would have Hollywood Brown. Rashad Bateman, when he wants to, he can get behind the defense. So Hollywood, here's the thing. The 1 year, was it 2021? Outside of this last year, I think that was Lamar Jackson's best passing year. And I don't mean by necessarily yard, because obviously he won the MVP in 2019. I think 2021 was his before injury. I think Lamar Jackson was having a good passing year. I think that's the year Hollywood Brown had 1,000 yards, and that was when Rashad Bateman was playing pretty good. I think the combination of Bateman and Hollywood looked good that year, and then Lamar got hurt. But I don't know if I want to sign Hollywood Brown back. There's other needs you need. Edge rusher is concerning to me because, I mean, I'm content with Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney was 31 years old, but Jadeveon Clowney has a motor. You can still draft an edge rusher, sign Clowney to another 1 year deal, have an edge rusher drafted that learned from Jadeveon Clowney, move on from Clowney. Hopefully this year we win the Super Bowl. So if we win the Super Bowl next year, we don't got to worry about a lot of these guys. They win the Super Bowl, they probably going to be gone anyway. You know what I'm saying? Get an edge rusher, draft them, sign Clowney, let them sit behind Clowney for a year, develop, you know what I'm saying? People always talk about Odafe Oweh. Odafe Oweh is actually pretty good because he don't get sacks, but he gets pressure. And I'd rather have a guy that gets pressure and can win his one-on-one battles as opposed to a guy that can never get back there. Ajabo is still a wait and see. I haven't seen enough of Ajabo yet to really say what he's going to be. I don't. That's not enough sample size with Ajabo. Odafe Oweh, we've seen enough. We know he can win his matchups. He just can't get sacks. But we know he can get back there. Kyle Van Noy is another one. You bring back Van Noy, you bring back Clowney, you got Ojabo, you got Oweh, you got Matabike. I'm cool with that. Then you got linebackers. You got Roquan Smith. Patrick Queen, I really don't know if they're going to bring him back. I don't know if they are. But you got Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, potentially. I think Trenton Simpson is a stud. So if they don't sign Patrick Queen, you pretty good there. You're side by side with Roquan. Roquan is gonna make you look good. So I think so. And then you got secondary. You got Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Brandon Stevens, Marcus Williams. You're solid. The only real question mark is really like edge rusher, because right now Clowney is a free agent. So he's not already on the team. So I guess you could say, so like you said, edge rusher and another linebacker to go beside Roquan. And I don't even think linebacker is an issue, because anybody that plays beside Roquan is going to be nasty. It's just how nasty do you want to be? Patrick Queen makes you real nasty. I think Trenton Simpson is going to be a little bit of a drop off, but it's still going to be a nice dynamic duo. The real situation is wide receiver and O-line. O-line is my biggest issue, because if you want Lamar Jackson to win his third MVP, you're gonna have to protect him. And right now, I don't know about Ronnie Stanley. I don't know about Morgan Moses. Like I said, I like Ben Cleveland, but they don't use him, and obviously they know more than I do. So maybe Ben Cleveland's not as good as I think he is. You know what I'm saying? So O-line and receiver is not even a big issue. It's just Rashad Bateman needs to get more targets. Rashad Bateman needs to stay healthy. You got Zay Flowers, you got Aguilar, but I would like to see them feel old. And this whole idea of Michael Thomas, I don't like that idea. I've heard Michael Thomas being floated around. I don't like that. Injuries, he's older. He's like an OBJ. If you're gonna bring in Michael Thomas, I'd rather see Odell Beckham come back. At least he already got the chemistry with the playbook, the chemistry with the players. I don't want to see Michael Thomas. I don't. I know he got hands, and I know he damn near catches everything that's thrown to him. But I don't like the fact that he might not be on the field a lot. I don't like, and Josh Ross, right? I don't like that. Yeah, and then you got Zachary Orr as your. I think that was a good signing as well. He was already on the staff. You know what I'm saying? He wants his player to be nasty. So you got a good D coordinator. I think the Ravens are pretty good. They just need to re-sign their own, draft some offensive line help, and get another wide receiver that's a veteran but that's talented. You know what I'm saying? I like OBJ. I just think you just don't bring him back for that price. I like OBJ. It's just the price tag. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So in the comment section, let me know who you guys would like the Ravens to sign. Let me know who you think the Ravens are going to cut. And let me know what you guys think about who they're going to draft in the draft, the areas of need. Zay was already talking about edge rusher, receiver. The question is, you've drafted receiver. Eric DeCosta, so I think he's drafted a receiver at least 3 of the years. He's drafted Hollywood, he's drafted Bateman, he's drafted Zay Flowers with the number 1 pick. I don't think he's going to draft a receiver again with the number 1 pick, a first round pick. I don't think that he's going to do that. I don't. I think he's going to go in free agency with a receiver. I really do. Or go in the draft, but not the first round. First round, you gotta go You gotta go O line. You just gotta go O line or outside pass rush. If Clowney isn't your it. Yeah. So Hollywood, Bateman, Flowers. I don't see him going receiver again. I don't. At least not the first round. And I don't like Michael Thomas. I don't. I'd rather you bring back OBJ. Last year, Rashad Bateman was winning his matchup. Yeah, and I don't know if you're new to the channel, Zay. I'm not sure, but every game that we did a post game reaction to, I'm like, why is Rashad Bateman only getting like two targets, 3 targets a game? Like, this guy is a talent, and I do see people always talk about Rashad Bateman being a crybaby or just, you know what I'm saying? But I think Rashad Bateman was a professional last year. Because I didn't hear any rumblings about him not getting any targets. The Rashad Bateman should have got way more targets than he did last year. I almost want to say OBJ got more targets than, and I don't know this for a fact. I'm just looking for the eye test. I feel like OBJ, even with the games missed, got more targets than Rashad Bateman last year. And I don't know how that's possible. When Rashad Bateman is younger, more talented. I don't know if he's more talented. Who knows? I mean, he's younger. You know what I'm saying? I think OBJ is a better talent, but I think the potential. You know what I'm saying? O-line, I think, too, unless the Ravens trade out the first round to get more draft. And that normally is the Ravens' way to trade out of the first round. But it all depends on how deep they feel like the O-line position is. Now, that's one thing I don't really study too well is the prospect talent. I only study mainly the pro level, so I don't know what O-line talent is out there. But if it is, I can see him. Especially you got the number 30 pick. So that's an easy trade out. If you feel like you can get value later in the rounds. But they're gonna have to definitely do some O-line. Ronnie Stanley's not gonna be there another year. I think this is his last. If they keep him this next year, this is his last year. It's either they're gonna get rid of him this year or they're gonna get rid of him next year. But so you gotta draft a tackle. Morgan Moses not gonna be there another year either. So O-line is important because in order for Lamar Jackson to continue to win MVPs, you're gonna have to protect him. Like I said, every year that he's won MVP, he's had solid O-line. Definitely in 2019 because you had oh Jesus, I can't remember names. What's the Ravens legend? I can't think of what is his name? That you know, the All Pro. I'm so bad when I feel like my memory has been slipping me. But he retired. That was his last year, and I cannot think of what his name is. But you had a great offensive line. You're gonna need that in order for Lamar Jackson to win MVPs. Under Eric, yeah, exactly. Eric Ozzie Newsome was known to trade out. Eric DeCosta has been known to trade up, but DeCosta hasn't really traded out of the first round. He traded back in. Well, that was Ozzie Newsome. That was Lamar. He traded back in to get Lamar. So you're right. DeCosta has not known to trade out. He's gotten he made the Hollywood trade. Marshall Yonder. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember Marshall Yonder. That's who it was. That's who played with Lamar the first MVP. If you look at that offensive line, then they had Orlando Brown. They had Ronnie Stanley, who was playing all pro. Marshall Yonder. And I forgot who was playing right tackle. No, right tackle was Orlando Brown. Left tackle was Stanley. Guard was John. Who was playing center? Was it I forget the guy's name. But yeah, they had a good offensive line. So if you want Lamar Jackson to be dominant and win more MVPs, you're going to have to protect him. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have to go O-line. They're going to have to go. If you feel like you can bring back Van Noy and Clowney, then there's no need to draft. You still want to draft them because Clowney and Van Noy not going to be there long term. So you still going to have to draft pass rusher, and you're going to have to draft a receiver or go into free agency. So here's what I think. As far as running back, you don't need to go. You don't need to draft a running back. You don't need to go into free agency. You keep your own. You bring in Gus Edwards, bring back Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill. I like that. Receiver. I don't think you go into the free agent market for receiver. Mike Evans is gone. That's the only receiver that I wanted. He's gone. I think you either draft or that's it, or you trade. I don't think there's nothing in free agency I want, and that's it. Offensive line, I think you definitely draft offensive line. I don't think there's nobody on a free agency that I would want. You draft O-line. Defensive line, you draft that too. You draft that too, or you bring in. You don't even have to bring. You could bring in Ndamukong Suh. There was talk about Ndamukong Suh, but I don't even think that was a realistic thing because he would have signed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the Ravens be doing sometimes. They sign Dalvin Cook, they don't use him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the Ravens be doing sometimes. With secondary, I think secondary you're good. You're gonna lose Geno Stone. You can't pay all these guys. Geno Stone's gonna be gone. But I think outside you're good. You draft Bradley Bozeman. Thank you. You on point, man. You see, you on point because my memory is bad. I've never been good with names. I know players, but I don't remember names. If that makes sense. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this next week. We'll get on next week. We'll get on next Wednesday if there's news about the Ravens in free agency. But for some reason, I see if the Ravens are going to be in the free agent market and they're going to be active, I feel like they're going to go for a running back. I feel like it's either Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley because DaCosta definitely said we're going to go into the market looking for a running back. Now that doesn't mean that they're gonna go outside of their own because technically Gus Edwards is a free agent. J.K. Dobbins is a free agent. So technically they could dip into the free agent market for a running back and bring back one of their own. But I really feel like they're going to pull a trigger on Derrick Henry. They wanted him in the middle of the season. They didn't get him. So I do feel like they're going to try to get Derrick Henry. You know, it's all about how much. I don't see them being too active in free agency in terms of outside players. Sign your own. Try to get Patrick Queen. Try to get Jadeveon Clowney, Cal Van Noy. Let Geno Stone walk. You know what I'm saying? We looked at the list earlier. All these other players. Devin Duvernay's going to be gone. Because I feel like Tylan Wiles is probably going to take over the return duties. It's, like I said, he had that punt return against the Rams. I mean, you may bring back John Simpson. I think John Simpson played solid as a guard. Or you either draft his replacement. Who else? Who else on this list is a big? You got Trenton Simpson, so Malik Harrison probably not going to be an issue. You probably let him go. Tyler Huntley's probably going to go. Rock Ya-Sin probably not going to be there. I think that was a 1-year thing. They might re-sign Rock Ya-Sin back. I think Rock Ya-Sin was a 1-year thing. Yeah, exactly. I like Devin Duvernay, but I think Tylan Wiles is a good replacement. Save your money. Let Devin Duvernay walk. It's crazy because what year was that? 2022? Devin Duvernay was their best receiver. Can you believe that? Devin Duvernay was their best receiver in 2022. Now we're saying let him walk. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you could always use Isaiah Likely in that hybrid role. If you're looking for a big body receiver and it's not in the free agent market and it's not in the draft, you can always use Isaiah Likely in that role. He's a big body. He's athletic. He's athletic. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go crazy in a way. You could draft a receiver and use Mark Andrews as a prototypical tight end and use Isaiah Likely in some receiver sets. You know what I'm saying? He's athletic like a receiver. He can catch like a receiver. He can run after the catch like a receiver. You can get creative with it. You could go that route. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this off season is going to be about taking care of your own. I don't see them dipping into the free agent market and getting a lot. Only thing I see is them going for running back. Outside of that, you get Patrick Queen. You bring back you sign Matabike. You sign Patrick Queen, and you sign one of your running backs back. You don't need to dip into the free agent market and bring outsiders. Everything else is going to be this draft. The Ravens already proved they had a great roster this season. They were the best team in the league. And like I said, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. They were better than the Kansas City Chiefs, and you know how that works. I'm not going to get into all the my beliefs about that. But they had a better team all year long. So you run it back. You make some tweaks here and there. You run that shit back. Because Lamar Jackson won an MVP, and they had the lead in every game this year except the last game of the season. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, dog. Same question. And I wasn't one of those guys. I'm not. What's the word? I forgot what the word is. I'm tripping today. I can't think of what the word is. Oh, superstitious. Everybody was like, when Mark Andrews came back, that's going to throw off the flow of the game. Isaiah Likely was balling, and Mark Andrews being out there is going to fuck up the flow. Whatever you want to say, Isaiah Likely should have got the ball more in that playoff game against the Chiefs. If you were going to run the ball, throw the ball as much as you did, Isaiah Likely should have got majority of those targets. And the one time he threw in the end zone, it was clearly pass interference, and they didn't call it. You know what I'm saying? It was just a bunch of shenanigans in that game. I think you run it back. You run it back with the talent you got. You do something at running back. You can get Derrick Henry if you want. Draft some talent, and you run that shit back. I don't think this team is not far off. You don't have to make drastic changes with this team. The team is not far off. They should have been in the Super Bowl. They should have been in the Super Bowl. So you don't need to make drastic changes. OBJ, I thought they was gonna bring OBJ in to fucking for him to go off in the postseason. OBJ didn't even go off in the postseason. I was like, all right, OBJ, listen, we just want to make sure you're healthy to get to the playoffs. You don't use him. You didn't use Dalvin Cook. So what am I supposed to get excited about? Derrick Henry, you didn't even use Dalvin Cook. You barely used the running backs that you had, and I'm supposed to think that Derrick Henry is all of a sudden going to be the difference maker. You didn't even use the running backs that you had, and you were using Keaton Mitchell a little bit. I will say that you were using, and Keaton Mitchell's a game changer. If he doesn't get injured, the Ravens beat the Chiefs. Because Keaton Mitchell was that damn good. You're not beating the Ravens if Keaton Mitchell was healthy. Ronald Darby. You got Brandon Stevens. You got Marlon Humphrey. Let's look here. If I had to guess between Darby or Rock Ya-Sin, I definitely think Ronald Darby would be my choice. Who I would rather have come back. I would rather have Ronald Darby. I think he played pretty solid. Compared to Rock Ya-Sin. You're not bringing both of them back. So I definitely think if you're gonna bring one of them back, I think it'd be Rock Ya-Sin, Ronald Darby. Rock Ya-Sin was getting paid more money than Darby. Darby's probably gonna get an increase, but he was making less money anyway than Rock Ya-Sin. So yeah, I would bring back Ronald Darby. I would want them to bring back. Do I think they are? I'm not sure. I really don't know, but I would think they should bring him back. I think he plays solid. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Ravens do. The Ravens. So getting back to the premise of this video, the whole point of this video was talk about Madubuike. What does it mean? It means obviously they value Madubuike to the point where they're not going to let him walk away. That's obvious. You had to franchise tag him. Number two, are we just looking at Madubuike as a one-year deal? Prove it. Prove that you can do it again, and we'll sign you to the long-term deal. My argument to that was, but if he proves it again, that's more money you got to pay him next year. So the idea is to get him to a long-term deal now, get that $22 million off your cap, sign him to a long-term deal to spread that money out, create more space, and go from there. That's what I think the Ravens want to do. Because if you don't sign him to a long-term deal, and he goes out there and does either what he did last year again or better, that's more money you're going to pay him next year. So, you know, we clearly think they value him. And that was my whole argument going into this franchise tag is, do you go with Patrick Queen or do you go with Madubuike? Which one of those guys is easier to sign? I think it's Madubuike because you already have a linebacker in Roquan Smith that you're paying a lot of money to. So it's easier to make the decision to franchise Madubuike because you can't afford to lose Madubuike. Patrick Queen, you can afford it. I wouldn't want them to, but you can afford it because you got Roquan and you got potential in Trenton Simpson. You know, so I think it was obvious, and DaCosta even said the franchise tag is more likely going to go to Madubuike. But a lot of people were wondering Patrick Queen. But if you look at this, hold up, let me fix it again. Patrick Queen was going to make $24 million off the franchise tag. Madubuike is 22. So if you're already strapped for cash, I don't know if you can justify you could pay a linebacker $24 million for 1 year when you already got a Roquan Smith, one of the highest paid linebackers, if not the highest paid linebacker. You can't have two linebackers being the highest paid when you got other needs. So I already figured they weren't going to franchise tag Patrick Queen. The question now is, with Madubuike on a franchise tag, is it possible, any way possible, you can bring both of those two guys back? I would love to have Patrick Queen back. I do. I think he's that damn good. I just don't know if they're going to be able to. I just don't know if they're going to be able to. I always thought Justin Madubuike was, yeah, dog, exactly. We're thinking the same. They was calling him Baby Aaron Donald in the season. You remember that? They was calling him Baby Aaron Donald. Like, he's nasty. Now, I'm not saying he's like filthy like Aaron. I mean, it's only one Aaron Donald, but damn, he had a great season, and he's only gonna get better. So yes, like Aaron Donald comparison is huge. You know what I'm saying? He deserves to get paid, but the Ravens could not afford him to let him walk. It's easier to let Patrick Queen walk than it would be Madubuike. Because if you let Madubuike walk, who the fuck are you filling that position with? What interior lineman do you have that's gonna fill Madubuike? You don't have anybody. So it was obvious that they were gonna go over the lineman over the linebacker. You know what I'm saying? So Patrick Queen was gonna go with Mike Macdonald. Makes sense. He had his best year with Mike Macdonald, as opposed to Wink Martindale, who liked the blitz all the time. Patrick Queen had his best years with Wink Martindale. I mean, with Mike Macdonald. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the next time we'll get on here next week on the 13th, and we'll talk about free agency. Whether the Ravens sign anybody or not, we'll probably still get on. Now, if the Ravens don't sign anybody on the first day of free agency, then it probably won't be as long. But if the Ravens do sign somebody on free agency, then it'll probably be a longer live stream. So comment what you think. I kind of went through a lot, and it was a lot of information here. Some I'm still learning, and some I know. So forgive me if I got anything wrong, numbers wise, franchise tag wise. I'm still learning some of this stuff. So, but nonetheless, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me see. Subscribe. And so just to give you a calendar update. Free agency, the 13th, we'll do a live stream about that. If anything happens after free agency, I'll just probably do some YouTube shorts on my quick reaction on if the Ravens sign anybody. The next big live stream, if it's not gonna be like free agency next week, is probably gonna be the NFL draft. And that's not until April 25th. So we're probably not going to do another big live stream until the 25th. Like the focus of this channel was mainly talking about the post-game reactions, but the season's over, so there's not much to react to now. So it's only going to be like a couple live streams, free agency, and the draft. And if they make a big splash in free agency later on, or if if they cut somebody like Ronnie Stanley or whatever, like a big cut like that, then we'll talk about it. Outside of that, you'll probably just like YouTube shorts. All right. Thank you everybody for coming through. Zay, thank you. I think this is your first time here. At least I've seen you in the comments. Thank you for your time, your energy, your presence. Juice, Noah, Ertaza, who else came in here? I think that was everybody I've seen off the top of my head. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I will see you next week. Yeah, first time. I appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much. You made this great. It's great to have fellow Ravens fans talk about, well, I don't even know if you're a Ravens fan. I don't know. You might know the Ravens. But if you're a fan, it's great to have you in here. And I will see you next week. And you may see some YouTube shorts in between. But outside of that, you guys have a blessed night. I'm going to go enjoy my food. And I will see you guys next time. Have a good one. Oh, you a Ravens fan? Bet. Well, this is a Ravens channel. I'm gonna be doing Orioles as well. Baseball, Orioles, Ravens, all that good stuff. We're gonna be talking about some actually, I'm wrong. There may be another live stream between free agency and draft, and that'll be about the Baltimore Orioles. It won't have nothing to do with the Ravens, but we'll probably do a opening day season expectations for the Baltimore Orioles. Win prediction, starting rotation, batters. We'll talk about all that stuff. So, yeah. So stay locked in. Double R Podcast. You guys have a blessed night. Be easy.